the Forte GT, and man, have I learned a lot about this little car. So let's talk about it. First off, what is it? What exactly is the Forte GT? Well, as the name implies, the Forte GT is a sportier version of the regular Kia Forte, which is Kia's compact sedan that competes against things like the Mazda 3 and the Honda Civic. As you might expect, this sportier model gets more horsepower, retuned suspension, bigger wheels and tires, bigger brakes, an upgraded exterior and interior package. And as you also might expect, knowing that it competes against vehicles like the Honda Civic Si, the Mazda 3, and to an extent the Volkswagen Golf GTI, it costs $26,000 as it sits. Under the hood is a 1.6-liter turbocharged four-banger that kicks out 201 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque. Now, in the Forte GT, that sends power to the front wheels via either a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission or a 6-speed stick. This particular test car has the 7-speed dual-clutch. Now, interestingly, with that retuned suspension the GT gets, it's a very thorough retuning. You see, the standard Kia Forte uses a torsion beam rear axle, not unlike the Mazda 3. However, for this GT model, they swapped the whole rear suspension out for a multi-link independent unit, like you'd find in the Honda Civic Si. That thorough rework of the suspension is paired to a set of 18-inch wheels, which in this case are shod in the optional Michelin Pilot Sport 4S rubber, a $200 option. Now, being that this competes against vehicles like the Honda Civic Si, a car that I very much do like, I bet you're wondering, how does the Forte GT drive? And the answer to that is, well, this is a really sure-footed ride. It's actually really comparable to a Golf GTI in the way it sort of delivers this handling confidence about it. And because, unlike the current Mazda 3, for this GT model, Kia has given this thing a fully independent suspension, it's friendly and approachable at the limits of handling, though there is a big asterisk to that. What is that asterisk? Well, as sure-footed as this thing is, it's hampered by the safety stuff. Now, I have traction and stability control disabled. It says so on the screen right here. However, it's not really disabled. It still kicks in really aggressively, even on these canyon roads where I'm driving the car at maybe 5 or 6/10. You know, I'm not treating this road like my personal racetrack. I'm just driving it like an enthusiast would. And even at, you know, these moderate, reasonable speeds, you can really feel the stability system kind of kicking in and tugging at the brakes at all four corners, trying to keep this thing in line, or so it thinks. So to feel that level of intervention, even at these moderate speeds, it's just disappointing. Now, not disappointing, however, is the engine. This 1.6T is an absolute charmer. Power comes on harder on 2,500 RPM, and it seems to pull pretty nicely with a 6,500 RPM red line. Now, I definitely think this is a little area where the Honda Civic Si could take some notes, because unlike the Honda Civic Si, this engine actually makes a noise. There's actually some amount of exhaust note coming from this car. It's not loud or overbearing at all, but it is nice. It has a sort of metallic thrum, and if you roll the windows down, you hear the occasional whoosh from the turbocharger bypass valve. Likewise, the 7-speed dual-clutch automatic is a smooth operator, so much so that when I first got into this vehicle, you could have told me it was a regular torque converter auto, and I would have believed you. However, there's a bit of downside to that, because that means that unlike some other dual-clutch units on the market, like the Golf GTI, it doesn't necessarily feel as absolutely fast when you pull the triggers. Downshifts take a second and feel comparable to most conventional automatics, though upshifts are very quick. As far as the 6-speed stick, everyone watching this knows I'm a manual transmission diehard. I actually requested that this press car be a 6-speed, but there are none in the LA fleet, and that's kind of for a specific reason. Now, Kia is actually kind of banking on people not wanting the 6-speed manual in this car. How do I know that? Well, interestingly, they actually charge more for the manual than they do for the automatic. The base price of the Forte GT is $23,215 for the DCT. If you want the 6-speed stick, add $600 to that figure. That's Kia reading the market and knowing that more often than not, us enthusiasts are outweighed by the average consumer who doesn't want a stick. A bummer, but I understand it. While the Forte GT may not be the handling dynamo that the Civic Si is in this segment, you know, the lack of limited slip diff and the fancy shock absorbers kind of guarantee that, this thing has quite a lot going for it elsewhere, like the interior. What makes the interior of the Forte GT so special? Well, it's all the stuff Kia has managed to jam in this vehicle. Now, there's a bit of a caveat here. In order to get all the cool stuff I'm about to describe, you do have to opt for the only high dollar option package this vehicle comes with, and that is the GT2 pack, which costs $2,200. Once you tick that box for the GT2 pack, you unlock all of the goodies the Forte GT has to offer. That includes the Harman Kardon stereo, which is quite nice, a leather interior, and those front bucket seats are now power on the driver and both heated and ventilated, which is a segment exclusive, I do believe, and on this very hot day, the ventilated seats are coming in clutch. But more than that, you also do get wireless charging, the big panoramic sunroof. And that is in addition to the standard infotainment display, which has both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto connectivity. And I think this interior is really where Kia put their money and their efforts. You see, most people aren't going to take their Forte GT to a track day or even blast down a canyon road like this, but most everyone is going to take it to go to work and go to the grocery store and sit in traffic. And that's where these niceties really come in and do make it feel more special than other vehicles in the segment. While we're on the interior, there are a few good things and a few bad things. Let's start with the bad first so we can get it out of the way. While this driver's seat is power adjustable, which is great, unfortunately adding those electric motors under the seat has added about an inch of height to the driver's seat relative to the passenger seat. So at 6'1", I almost feel too big for this vehicle. I have the seat in the lowest possible position and there just isn't much headroom in here. And most practically, that also means that when I pull up to an intersection, I have to crane my head down to see the traffic lights in this vehicle. That's absolutely not a problem in competitors, especially the Honda Civic Si, which is a really low seating position that I really enjoy. But if you can look past the seat, there are a lot of good things happening in here. The materials overall are quite nice. You really dig your fingernail in everything. It feels soft and plush. And more than that, especially thinking about the Honda Civic Si, is the infotainment system. That's something you use every day. You're constantly interacting with it, whether it's to pair your phone, change the radio, whatever. The interface in this thing looks simple, but it works beautifully. It's quick, it's intuitive. Pairing your phone is a piece of cake. It moves much faster than the Honda system. And the fact that Kia has included a touchscreen as well as a mixture of physical buttons and knobs makes it much easier to use while you're driving. Overall, I have to say I'm really pleased with the Forte GT and what it brings to the segment. Now, I have to admit, at first, I was a little underwhelmed dynamically, especially with the stability control constantly kicking in and dragging the brakes around corners. That's kind of a miss. But while this may not be quite as dynamic or fun to drive as the Civic Si, everywhere else, it just makes so much sense. In fact, I would go as far as saying Mazda should have looked to the Forte GT when making the current generation Mazda 3. This is what the Mazda 3 should have been. And interestingly, it's Kia that beat Mazda to the market. Mazda's trying to push the 3 upscale, but in doing so, they've made it really expensive. Kia has made the Forte GT upscale, but you're not paying a huge premium for it. It just ends up being a well-contented, somewhat premium vehicle just due to how they've engineered and how they've designed this vehicle and all the stuff they've jammed into it. I'm blown away by how much value and how much stuff and how much car you get for $26,000 with the Kia Forte GT. The fact that it does drive quite nicely, have quite a powerful and fuel-efficient engine, and have all this tech and all this content in it. Why would you not buy this? I think that's all I got with this one, guys. Thank you very much for watching. As always, my name is Jake Stump, and I'll see you guys next time where I go do more fun